Sources of workplace WHS information. Internal and external sources. When addressing health and safety matters within a workplace, the starting point is to see what sources of information are already available. Knowledge and information related to specific issues and practices may already exist either within the workplace or through external sources for guidance. And this may exist in the form of specific people you can contact or through documentation that is made in order to support workplaces. Knowledge of different sources of WHS information is important for workers to know as it guides their decision in relation to safety and making sure the workplace is a safer place. Okay, and helps support them in applying different practices to the workplace and guide them in order to make sure they're making the right decisions. Also, some of these sources are bound by law, leading to consequences for individuals or for their company when their requirements are not being followed. So essentially, we categorize this in two different areas. There are internal and external sources of information, and they're categorized in the following ways. Firstly, we have internal sources. Internal sources are created or exist within an organization. These sources could contain information related to policies and practices which are specific for the company you are working within. And they are specific, but they're based on existing sources that might be external sources, and they've got to be compliant with those sources, specifically if they are being created to satisfy legislative requirements or specific industry requirements, okay, that need to be satisfied by the company. But they are essentially specific to the organization. On the flip side, we have external sources. External sources of information exist within or are developed by professional bodies or government departments outside an organization, okay, or any other type of external body as well, but essentially outside the organization. These groups may be specialized in health and safety, industry matters, or the development of laws. Okay, and they contain knowledge. Okay, that is beneficial to all companies within a specific industry. Okay, so if we're talking about the ICT industry, they are a union or a professional body that know about the ICT industry and may be helpful, or they are a government department that supports in health and safety, and that's their focus. Okay, so they are an external source that would be the professionals in that area, and that's why we'd go to that external source for support. Now, as said with both internal and external, it could be documentation that we're referring to that is paper based or online through a website, or it could be contacting specific people, okay, who are experts in a particular area for support. So, in order to illustrate this, let's take a look. So, firstly, we have an organization itself, okay, so my organization, okay, and then we talk about the environment outside the organization, okay, and that's how we're going to try to illustrate this. So, the organization itself will contain internal sources of information. So it could be the HSR, it could be the Health and Safety Committee, it could be the PCBU, it could be existing policies and procedures, it could be incident reports or SDSs. All those things are specific to the organization, okay? And the information contained from those people or the documentation would be specific to the organization, and thus it would be a good starting point to go to if I'm just the general worker. But if I am the HSR or the PCBU, I've got to kind of come up with the ideas, okay, or seek guidance in relation to matters. So then I need to access external sources of information to support my decision making. These external sources include Safe Work New South Wales as being kind of the first point for guidance outside the organisation, the existing legislations which I need to be compliant with, otherwise I'm breaking the law, the unions that are out there that are obviously making and supporting workers within my workplace, codes of practice which are digesting the legislation and making it easier for me to implement their practices in my workplace, professional associations who share different information across the industry to support all different workplaces, general guidance material that's been developed to support compliance, and the operation manuals that relate to the actual machinery and equipment that I use within my workplace, guiding me on the actual practices on how to use them safely. So I hope this video has given you an understanding of internal and external sources of workplace information and just how the different sources kind of impact in different ways. How internal sources are usually specific to my workplace, though are based on external sources of information which relate to legislation, okay, but also contain experts and their support and guidance material that allow me to comply with legislation and apply this to my specific workplace through their guidance.